How much did Santa Clara County tax assessor collect in 2023? We'll be talking about that along with 6 things you can do to prepare for a home appraisal and the bank-owned home of the week, which I'm going to go take a look at least I want to go take a look at, and some other things, inventory watch. Let's get moving. So how much did Santa Clara County collect in 2023? And I tell you, it's a gargantuan number. It's also a record number, mostly because we're just consistently going up, but it was $661 billion. I don't know if you can see that. $661 billion. And we think we pay too much in taxes. So, whether you like taxes or not, it's here to stay. There's not much we could do about it. It's stuck in our laws. It's something that we do all along. And it's something that started in the 1800s. And I think it's out of control. But the great thing about California is we have Proposition 13, which means that your property tax can only increase 2% every year, versus like Texas or I don't know, Idaho, wherever. If your property value goes up, you get reassessed at that new value. So that means during the firestorm a couple years back, you bought a house for $225,000 in Texas or Missouri, and it went up to $500,000, you're going to be reassessed. Now, certain states have things. If you become a retiree or you hit a certain age, your tax roll, your property taxes freeze, which is a good thing. But here in California, we put this into place, I think in the 80s. Proposition 13 only increases your assessed value by 2% every year, which is great, because if you bought a house back in the 1950s for $20,000 and now it's worth $2 million, you're paying 2% factorially over, I don't know, 50, 60 years. And yeah, it's going to increase every year, but it's not going to go crazy high. You're not paying the value of $2 million. You're paying the value of $20,000 times 2%, 1.02 times however many years it's been around. The advantages to the county is that when you do sell that house, you can that property gets reassessed unless you sell it to a child or give it to a child. Proposition 19 now takes over, and they have to live in that house. It has to be their house. They have to live in it, and they can enjoy the same savings. You can also take your tax assessment and move it over to a new property, whether it's more or less. So if it's more, then you just pay the difference. So if you sell your house for $2 million and you buy a $2.5 million house 5 states or 5 counties away, you can take that $2 million assessment, whatever it is, and then pay the difference, 500,000 times 1%, and there you go. If you buy a property and your property goes down in value, you also are allowed to ask for a reassessment, a temporary reassessment called Proposition 8. A lot of people don't know that. It's not something we talk about, especially in the last 5 years or so, because property values have continued to increase. There are certain areas in our county, believe it or not, that do go down. And I think it's only like 14%, something like that. Yeah, something like that. And if you do find yourself in that position where your house value is less than what you're paying on the assessed value, give me a call. Happy to do a quick broker opinion on it. I'm allowed to do that, and it won't cost you anything. I just put you into the home value program that I have. It's called HomeBot, and then once a month you'll get a home valuation on it. Now this becomes an assessment or a reassessment, and you can actually lower your taxes temporarily. So where does all this tax money go? Well, I asked this question myself, so I thought I'd take a look. And here's 1% of the property tax that they bring in goes to the schools and the county and I don't know what RDA is, but the city gets some, schools get some, That's community colleges, special districts, and then other things too. So I wanted to take a look at how much my oh, how much my school district made, and it is right here. Oak Grove Elementary gets $31 million a year. And then if you look at East Side Union High School, they get almost $132 million per year. That goes to funding for property improvement, overhead, staff, all the special programs that schools have. Is it good? I don't know. But here's the problem. Where does all this money go to? Let me see if I can redo this real quick. It's $6.8 billion, not $661 billion. So where's the other $655 billion goes? I don't know yet. I don't know where all that's going. There's way more story to find out, and I will find out more for you when I do get along. So here's budget expenses. This is the general fund of running the county. So fleet management, central fire, general fund, Valley Medical Center. It's almost $11 billion that they spend to keep all these services available for us. County Park, Department Child Services, fleet management, road projects, roads and codes, I always say. And then there you go. So I think there's more to this because they do spend a lot of money on the let me see, I think it's 60. How many people? Positions. 22,426 positions. So that's staff. They spend a lot of money on staff and retirement. So a lot of the money actually goes to retirement. I have friends that were deputy sheriffs in the jail, on the road, and that goes to pay for their retirement. So, and health and all that other stuff too. So there you go. $661 billion. That's residential and commercial property. So yeah, Google pays taxes, etc. All the big companies pay. I get that, right? That's great. But there you go. All right. 6 things you can do to prepare your home for an appraisal. Now it's the same thing if you're going to get your home ready for sale, right? You want to take off all your pictures, make sure that any surface has no more than 3 things on it, not like my house, like my room right here. You can take a look and see I have junk everywhere. That's not prepared, ready for sale or an appraiser. You want to make it look clean, tidy, etc. So when you do take pictures off the wall, you want to spackle it. The trick is get a wet sponge and the spackle, throw the spackle on there and then sponge off all the excess so that you don't lose any of the texture, and then paint it back to the same color. Now, paint that's over 2 or 3 years old start to oxidize. So when you match a paint, even if it's the same lot, the same paint can, it's going to look different. So be prepared to paint that whole wall. Sometimes what you can do is mix some paint into the spackle, color it, and then it's not as obvious that you have holes. So there's an option right there. So, but painting, if you have wear marks or dirty hands, like I have teenagers, so I have dirty hands all over my doors, especially my pantry. I have a melamine block that I use to clean it off. And sometimes I do some Windex and a rag and I just clean it off. But it's something I do every 3 months just because it's one of those things, right? Update your crawl space. Now, not very many people go into crawl spaces, but if you're in a situation where you might live on a hill, you might have some place in a crawl space where you can actually walk into it, clean that up, make it look tidy, clean up the cobwebs. You probably have storage in there, so clean that up. Kind of like my garage looks like a storage unit. Clean that up because that will help look better towards the appraiser. Now consider the appraiser kind of like a buyer. The buyer is looking for a house that's ready to go, ready to sell, ready to be valued, and they're comparing it against other houses. So yeah, you're competing against other houses. Even though we only have like 3 houses for sale in San Jose right now, they might be looking for like 3 or 4 different houses in that specific price range and format, 3 15 to 1700 square feet, what have you. So just remember, you want to make the best impression possible. That includes curb appeal, cleaning up your yards, etc. Right? Do a deep clean. Clean up your house. Make it look and smell clean. You know, you have dogs. I have dogs. I know my house smells like dogs. It's one of those things you just can't get away from. But if you know they're coming at a certain time, do a deep clean. Get rid of all the scale on the shower doors. Clean up your bathrooms. Get that toothpaste out of there. They're not going to go into every drawer and nook and cranny like a buyer would, but they are going to measure, and they're going to take an overall feeling of the value of your home. That's their whole purpose, right? If there's anything that's evident, like broken windows or doors that don't open, or I don't know, like appliances that don't work or have rust spots, clean it up. Fix up those things, make sure everything works. And a lot of times appraisers have to make sure that your smoke detector and carbon monoxide detectors all work, and that your water heater is strapped up and completely done. Something that they don't really talk about in the appraisal, and then they kind of hit that on you. And if you really want to get into it, you can do a home inspection. That costs $300 to $500 depending. If it's a larger house, it'll be more because the inspector is going to look at it, but they're going to look at the entire thing, the entire house, from plugs to switches. Make sure that they all work, the appliances all work, make sure that the heater heats and the cooling cools, and that your oven works, and that your dishwasher cycles through. That's something that you can give to your inspector, saying, hey, here's the inspection. I found that these things were wrong with the house, and I fixed them before you showed up. So here's the inspection. Here's a copy of it. I want you to have it, right? And another thing is, when you do that, call your real estate agent and ask to send you some comps, right? If you're trying to get a refinance or what have you, I'm happy to send a CMA, comparable market analysis, based on comps, 10% variance within 1 mile radius of your home. We do this all the time as part of our services that we do. And it's just something that, you know, it takes us 2-3 minutes to do. It's not a burden. We're happy to do that for you. It's what we do as real estate agents, value homes. So have a property inspection, have repairs done, and have that CMA ready for them, and let them have it. Is he going to use it? More than likely, he'll use it to reference and take a look at it. Who knows? It might be worthwhile for you to do. Okay. The REO of the week. Now, REO is real estate owned, bank owned properties. Banks foreclose on properties all the time. And if you saw yesterday, there's not a huge inventory of bank owned properties. And if they're priced right, they're going to sell quickly, just like everything else. This house has been on the market for 23 days, and it's a fixer upper. It's $1.3 million in Morgan Hill, in the hills, 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 3,500 square feet, built in 1989. So, and it's pretty far up there in the, let's see if I can open this up for you, in the back hills, but it's not super far away, right? So Monterey Highway, this is downtown right here, right? That's downtown. This is Morgan Hill in the hills, and it's right here, right off of Sycamore Ave. Let's take a look at the house and what it looks like. Na 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 no, we're not going to be able to look at it today. Okay. Well, we'll come back to that in a minute. See how that works. We recently started a channel called Financial Intelligence. The whole idea behind it is to help people become better at their finances. We're not taught that in school. We're not taught that in our family for the most part. We're not taught how to live below our means. And we talk about how to make money work for you. Now, there's no sales pitch. We don't do sales pitches. We do have a call to action if we have a guest like Allison here. She's a coach here in San Jose. She's a small business coach. She helps people go from start to finish, get into business, and become successful in running a small business. Mindset, the whole thing. Fantastic video. I would suggest you watch it. Housing inventory is creeping down, but that's normal. Again, the last couple of weeks I've been saying it's normal for us to see our inventory go lower. It's just a normal thing. It's a normal part of our cycle. In the winter, we tend to have lower inventory here in Northern California. For example, right now we have actually it's 162 now. We have 161 houses for sale in San Jose, which is not a lot. And typically we have 253. We have a lot more. That was averages from last year. We need to have about 400 or 500 houses for sale at any given time to have a balanced market. We're not in a balanced market. We're still in a seller's market. So if you look at these numbers right here, you can see that we're still below our averages all over. Sunnyvale's at average right now, which is odd, but Santa Clara, Mountain View, Palo Alto, Los Altos, all over. We're far below our average of homes for sale. But again, that's the average for the entire year last year. I would say that this is normal for a winter market. Tampa is a little up. Cape Coral is actually up from last week. Cape Coral just got inundated and swamped again. A couple of years ago, Hurricane Ian came through and did a lot of damage to Fort Myers and Cape Coral. Yesterday or Monday, there was a massive storm that went through and there was flooding everywhere. So you're going to see a lot more damaged houses at Cape Coral, mostly because insurance is out of control right now. Austin, 2,300, a little bit less than last week. Atlanta, a little bit more than last week. LA, Los Angeles, we're seeing a little bit of an increase. New York. So we're seeing properties kind of stay at a bare minimum. If you look, Phoenix averages 2,100. They're above average right now. So maybe there's a dry or a big supply issue because maybe a lot of people in Airbnb is getting out. I want to talk a little bit about Airbnb later on in the next couple of weeks because I see that there's some issues coming on. I've spoken about it quite a few times in the last year or two. I think it's important that we talk more about short-term rentals as a strategy, and it's something you have to be very, very careful about now because I think the market is saturated. So I'm just going to leave you at that. All right, today we talked about property tax assessment in Santa Clara, $661 billion. 6 things you can do to prepare for an appraisal and your REO for the week, and small business mindsets. If you're into small businesses, take a look at that channel, Financial Intelligence. It's all about helping people. There's no sales pitch at all. It's all about education, abundance, and getting that mindset to live below your means and become wealthy that way. And housing inventory being down. I'm Vito with Avatano. It's Thursday, January 18th. Have a fantastic weekend, and we'll see you out there.